Welcome back to the Pittsburgh Sports Saviors. It is June 9th, about 8 o'clock. Game two is about to start. I'm assuming that's going to be most of your night tonight, Lee?
Yeah, watching a little bit of that, that's for sure.
Yep, I'll get it. I'll probably watch that and then go to bed. I don't know we'll see what happens. But
Yeah.
today, I watched the end of the Pirates series. They end up going 4-2 this week, taking 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers, and then taking 2 out of 3 from the Twins. And
Yeah.
both losses were games they could have won, especially today. They fell behind 3-0, got a 4-3 lead, go to extras, and then the bullpen explodes. Specifically, Ben Heller, who was in a spot he didn't he didn't see himself being in, and I don't think anyone else wanted to see. He ended up having to throw 43 pitches in the 10th inning. They the Twins scored 7 runs on him.
Wow.
And he's not going to be back in the major leagues for the rest of the season. So
Yeah.
nice seeing you, Ben. You
Yeah.
gave up 5 on Thursday and then 7 today. The 7 today is not all your fault, but I don't think you're coming back to the leagues anytime soon.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
going back to the Dodgers series, it was the first time Shohei's been at PNC Park, and the Buccos introduced him with some young guns.
Yeah.
He got him.
Usually don't get that call.
The reaction is incredible here. How do you like this show? How do you like this show, Pittsburgh?
It's just to give Shohei some love. He ended up hitting a homer off Skeens a little late in that game, but Pirates got a win out of both Jared Jones, who went 6 innings, no runs, I believe it was, on Tuesday, and then Skeens ended up going, I think, 6-3. Both got the win. They took those 2 games, the first 2 games of the series, weren't able to take the sweep, but the young guys are still looking good. Jones had a rough going in the first inning today, but he fixed himself and ended up pitching 5 innings, 2 earned runs, 3 runs total. So they're still playing great, the 2 of those guys.
Yeah, they look good. Those nice little clips we just saw. Just seeing how the young guns did up against Shohei, who was the MVP last year. It just was phenomenal to see him get struck out, in those 2 games. Again, like you said, he did end up taking Skeen's yard for a home run late that one game, but it was just beautiful to see. His first couple attempts up at PNC Park, he really didn't do much, and just to show that those young guys, they come in with some fire in the beginning of those games, and it just looked phenomenal. And the Buccos for sure. I think with these 2 series that they had with the Dodgers and the Twins here, going 4-2, I think that's something we wanted them to at least do. It would have been nice for the sweep on both, but I think that's better than having a losing record there with those two teams, and they're inching closer to being a 500 team and getting closer to that top spot there in their division, and I think that they're looking pretty decent, what we've seen, like I said, over these 2 series. Let's just hope that the Buccos can continue on at least a winning trajectory with the coming series that they have in the next, couple weeks or so. So we'll see what happens with the Pirates here coming soon.
Yeah, so they're now 31-34, a half game out of the wild card. 7 games behind the Brewers in the division. They got the Cardinals starting Tuesday, and then the Rockies this next weekend. Cardinals are a half game above the Pirates right now, so similar records there. The Rockies are one of the few teams in the NL that are not in the wild card hunt at all. They're almost 20 games below 500. So these are 2 teams that they're not winning that often. So maybe we can get some wins, even though it's on the road there.
Yeah, for sure.
2 guys I do want to highlight from this week, and a little bit into the past is Mitch Keller. I mentioned before, he's now 8-3 with a 3.16 ERA in the season. In May, he went 4-0 with a 1.30 ERA, And then in June, he's been even better, 2-0 so far with a 0.75 ERA. So he's been fire. He's been our ace. He's shown why he got the money this offseason. It's looking good. Any comments on Mitch and those numbers at all?
Yeah, I mean, it's just looking good. I mean, like we talked about in the past, you brought it up, the three-headed monster that we have. I think that the three of them just have been phenomenal. Just seeing them get out there and shine. I think that it was just nice to have, that nice little rotation with those three. I think the numbers that Mitch has been putting up, I think it's just been kind of just phenomenal to see over the games that he's been playing. So I'm excited to see the growth from him and the other two, and hoping that this three-headed monster rotation that we do have can kind of lead us into the postseason this year.
Yeah, I mean, if they get there, that's going to be a three-headed monster that not many teams can match with. So it'll be exciting to get there and see those guys work. And the other guy I want to head it to look at right now is Rowdy Tellez. He's actually going to go into our next topic, but he's starting to get back into a little bit of a groove. In May, he had a 143 average, 160 on base percentage, 163 slugging. So that's a 323 OPS. If you're looking at league average, that's probably around 700 OPS. So he was almost 400 points below what you're expecting. And he's a power guy, so you're expecting even more out of him. But in the last 14 days, he's got a 375 average, 400 OBP, 583 slugging, and a 980. That's totals for 983 OPS. So he's starting to turn it around. And that's going to get us our next topic here. And I'm going to try to get your point of view on what the role fans have and the responsibility fans have. And this first topic will be with Rowdy Tellez and booing in general. Fans and their booing of their own players is more specifically than the opponents. But this all started in April. The Pirates were on a good run, and then their all-star closer, he's been the best player in their bullpen for several years in a row now, David Bednar, just blew a slave, maybe a second one in a row, but this is the beginning of the Rowdy Tellez booing saga, as I'm calling it.
All right.
This is the pride of Pittsburgh to everybody. We don't do that out here. We're a good team. We're winning for a reason. We're going to get our man back on track, but what happened today is, I think, unacceptable, and we as a group in Pittsburgh got to be better. It's an all-star for a reason, and we just have to be better. So that being said, two-time all-star.
So there we go. He's scolding the fans, telling us that we cannot boo specifically David Bednar, but he's talking in general, I think, as home fans should not be allowed to boo their star players, even when they're not performing up to the standard set by those star players. What are your thoughts on that generally as an idea? We'll get into it more afterwards, but just give you a few comments on that part.
I think that I disagree with that. I mean, I think if your performance isn't good, I think it should be criticized for sure. And even if the fans didn't do it, journalists would have done it anyway in a newspaper or an article somewhere online anyway. On social media, whatever, sports talk, they would have said something. The commentators, they would have said something anyway and talked about how bad the performance was anyway, and I think that, us in general, regular people get scolded regularly. It may not be booed like this on a national stage, but we do in general get, told about our performance if we're not doing good. I mean, I think, it shouldn't matter who you are. I mean, even like the president gets told, he's not doing a good job, so I don't think they're above anybody. I just think that, if the fans aren't happy, they should, let them know. And okay, I'm screwing up. The fans aren't happy. I got to fix the way I am playing. So I disagree with what he said.
So here, after he does that, he goes on about a 40 game slump, I would say, where he just plays miserable. I told you his May numbers. He had a 143 average in May. But here's almost this starts happening almost immediately after these comments, and here's some booing that Rowdy Tellez had to go through himself.
Full count to Tellez. Here's the delivery, and he takes, and it is strike 3 right down the middle at 97 miles per hour, and that will leave things up to Joey Bart.
Yeah, the karma of it all. Baseball's a tough game. It's a game of failure.
Yeah.
And it just was the irony of everything, of him calling out the fans and then going on this stretch where he got booed by everyone in the stadium for weeks on. But fortunately for him, he got his redemption story, and recently he had a game where he scored four RBIs, including a home run. And here's after his home run, what he gets to hear from the crowd.
All right.
And listen. That's awesome. He needed it.
Then he talks about it after the game here. We'll just get his it's about a minute or so.
It's kind of emotional to feel that, it's been a lot of downs, once anything ups for me to start this year. So just trying to be the best teammate I can day in and day out in the clubhouse. Young guys have questions. Anybody needs help, anybody needs anything, trying to be there every time. So it was, I think emotional is a good word to hear my name and to feel like to kind of bring pride to these people in the Pirate Nation.
If I can ask a positive question, during that at bat, you ball hard a couple of times. Did you get the sense that you were sort of locked in that AB?
I felt comfortable. I think the last at bat he kind of made me look stupid, so I kind of knew what I didn't need to do. So it was nice to get a pitch over the plate to do some damage with, but I think a huge shout out, and the biggest one goes to my teammates for having my back the whole time and supporting me, coaching staff, trusting that I'm going to get there. Just because my resume says I can do it doesn't mean it's always going to happen. So for them to trust me is, it's really comforting.
Rowdy,
I feel.
So yeah, that's the Rowdy Tellez story over the last 2 months or so. He's got his redemption. But going back to the booing idea, as fans, my thought process is, if you pay for your ticket, you can boo. There's not much else. It doesn't matter what you want to boo about. Doesn't matter what you're booing at.
Yeah.
Philadelphia booed Santa Claus, right? That's
exactly.
they were right to do so. He's a bastard.
Yeah.
But what do you think about just the idea of the mental drain, especially for baseball, of when you're slumping? Is there a point where fans should stop the booing? So is there a point when the booing gets to be too much, where where the guy's going through it mentally already, he's slumping, he's stinking up the joint, as they say, for 40 days? Do we have a responsibility to give him a break and let him breathe a little bit?
I think it's kind of tough, because like you said, if you're paying for your ticket and you're there at the game, you have the right to have whatever reaction as a fan you want while you're there. I think it does take a mental toll on the players, because like you said, baseball is a hard sport. They play 182 games, I think is or 162, games a year. And, not every day it's going to be the same. But, they are professionals at that game, and, there's only so many of them that get to play the game. Not everybody does. I think that if you are a professional in your craft, you are going to get criticized for that, and, until you are an expert in that craft, regardless of what it is. I would say, at a point, maybe it does, maybe, okay, maybe, there is a little bit of a, like, okay, maybe, we know that he's not doing well, we're not happy, everybody's going to boo, but it does take a mental strain on the players and, whoever you are, in that field or whatever, when you're not doing well in your craft. Um, I want to say yes and no, but I think that it's just I'm leaning towards more of a no, only because, like I said, you're supposed to be the expert and the professional in whatever you're doing. And it's just criticism because even if the fans aren't booing, you're going to read about it now on social media or see about it on SportsCenter, ESPN later on anyway. So I think regardless, it's going to take a mental toll on you, but it's going to come in any form if it's not booing, any other way for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna give credit to Shannon Sharp. It may not have been him, but I feel like it was him who said playing the game. They play the games for free. It's all the other bullshit around it that they get paid for. And
Yeah.
I think that is part of it, where it's like the booing, that's part of the paycheck, is the booing. That's part of the hours you put in. And he talked about there, he's been working and off the field, and now he's starting to see the raw results. As I said, 375 average over the last 14 games.
Yeah.
Nice home run on Saturday night. So he's looking to positive trajectory at the moment, and hopefully he can keep going in that way. But I think I want to come back with one more fan dilemma. I'll call this one that can affect things every once in a while. So we're back for one more segment. I think the big Steeler news of this week, they have signed Cam Sutton, former Steeler, played for the Steelers for 6 years. Went to Detroit, where he started 17 games last year, and then 3 playoff games on top of that. But there's one big elephant in the room that I'm going to go through and play some videos just to give some background on the fact that he was on the run for a couple weeks after he allegedly assaulted his girlfriend or significant other. I'll say, maybe I don't think it was his wife, so I think we're good on girlfriend. He's accused of strangulation on her. But here's some background video just to give people an update, just in case they don't know what's going on with the story.
For a wanted NFL player continues in Hillsborough County. The sheriff's office is looking for Cameron Sutton, a 29-year-old who plays for the Detroit Lions. Now he's wanted on domestic violence charges. Fox 13's Ariel Placencia is live from the sheriff's office. Ariel, do we know where this domestic violence incident happened?
In Lutz, Haley, at the victim's home in Lutz, deputies say that they responded to the scene 2 weeks ago when the incident happened back on March 7th. But by the time they got on scene, they say the NFL player was nowhere to be found, and they haven't heard from him since. Now, Cameron Sutton, the 29-year-old, now wanted for domestic battery by strangulation. The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office saying he may be driving a Jeep Grand Wagoneer with Florida plates. Again, that domestic violence incident happening at a woman's home in Lutz around 5 a.m. back on March 7th. Here's HCSO.
We do know that this altercation was a verbal altercation that escalated to a physical altercation. In that fight, if you will, the victim sustained multiple injuries to her head, neck, shoulders, and upper body. And again, Mr. Sutton left the scene immediately before deputies could arrive.
Sutton played in 17 games for the Lions last season. Here's what the team said in a statement, quote, "We became aware of the ongoing legal situation involving Cam Sutton this morning. We will continue to monitor the situation and will not have further comment at this time." Before the Lions, he played 6 seasons with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, during our interview, HCSO's media team said that they have had contact with the Lions, and over the past 2 weeks, they've done their best to get a hold of the NFL player themselves. They've called him, reached out to his attorney, checked his Pinellas County home, but nothing. And so, Haley, that's why they say they posted his image, his name, and this situation on social media, because they need the public's help in finding him.
So that's the facts behind it. He ends up getting cut by the Lions. And then there's a stretch for like 14 days where he's on the run from the Hillsborough County police. You said that's where you're from?
When I was living in Florida, I was in Hillsborough County, and Lutz was literally the neighborhood next to where I was living. So I've definitely delivered some food up there, maybe to his house. Who knows? Doing DoorDash.
Were you holding him? Were you holding him? Was he in your house?
Not me now, because I'm back in Pittsburgh now, so it's not me.
Well, they didn't. This was a few months back. This was months back now that this all happened.
Oh,
Did you? Yeah, look at that stutter. I know, man, Lee. I'm just gonna keep the video going. So they finally kept him. Well,
Sutton is now in custody. We are told that he turned himself in to deputies at the Orient Jail sometime before 8:30 p.m. last night. So the sheriff's office has yet to put out a mugshot for Sutton, but we do have the video of him being booked into the Orient Jail. It's
just to give us some clarity. This is March 31st. Whenever he got booked.
Not much, but you do see the deputies escorting him inside to begin that booking process. Now, according to Hillsborough deputies, his lawyer made contact with the sheriff's office earlier last week, to tell them that Sutton was traveling back to Tampa to turn himself in. That call apparently happened on Monday, and then 6 days later, Sutton again now finally in custody. Now, this is a case and a search that has spanned weeks. Sutton had been on the run since an incident at a home in Lutz on March 7th, and that is when authorities say he assaulted a woman, then became wanted on domestic battery by strangulation. Now, the office has not shared the victim's name publicly, but this is a domestic case, meaning that the victim is someone that is known to Sutton. So with him finally in custody, Sheriff Chad Chronister had this to say. Here's a quote. After weeks of evading law enforcement, this man has finally made the right choice to turn himself in. Domestic violence has no place in our community, and no one is above the law here in Hillsborough County. My thoughts are with this woman as she continues to heal from this man's gruesome actions. Words from Hillsborough Sheriff Chad Chronister there. Now, the veteran cornerback, the former Detroit Lion, started all 17 regular season games with the Lions, plus 3 of their playoff games that happened last season as well. He is now cut from the team, awaiting his first appearance behind bars. That is likely to happen sometime late this morning or early this afternoon, guys.
So I can tell you this: I was back in Pittsburgh, so it wasn't me holding them.
When did you get back?
I got back in February.
You sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, we'll move on, but I don't know. As we laugh about a very serious topic, of course. And that's what I want to get into, though. How much? First of all, it's obvious. Domestic violence is serious, and it's not something to take lightly.
No.
But when your team decides, hey, we're going to sign this guy, what is the responsibility of the fans when it comes to, like, are they allowed to root? Or do you think fans should be fine rooting for a guy that has a past like this? Or are you cool with the signing in general? Are you cool with the Steelers signing a guy like Cam Sutton, who just less the Detroit Lions cut him in March, and less than 3 months later, the Steelers have signed him to a contract. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the fans have a right to boo or cheer or root for whoever they want to. You know, they can make the comments, you know, have their own opinions towards people. Again, these type of situations, especially domestic violence, is not something that is, you know, should be happening. It does happen daily, but it's not something that, you know, we want to celebrate or anything like that, because people like that just, you know, shouldn't, you know, be allowed for certain things. But in the world today, you know, you are allowed to get a second chance and things like that. In the past, you know, I've noticed that the Steelers, you know, even, you know, other, you know, NFL teams have given players second chances. You look back at, you know, here's one, the Michael Vick incident that happened with the dog fighting. You know, he gets cut, he goes to jail, you know, and the Eagles sign him, and he makes a comeback as the comeback player of the year. Of course, people didn't like it. And, you know, then he floats around for a little bit and ends up on the Steelers for a little bit. You know, yeah, he wasn't the Michael Vick at that point, but it does seem like the Steelers do give a lot of players second chances. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger made a lot of bad decisions when he was younger, you know, in the beginning of his career that, you know, ended him up, you know, in court for some things. But it looks like, you know, over the rest of his career, you know, he turned a new leaf, and, you know, the fans have now respected him. Does he have the asterisk next to his name? Sure. But, you know, he still ended up being a great player. I think that, you know, the Steelers do that a lot. They give people second chances and they bring them in. I'm not saying, fans have to root and cheer for the guy. But, if he turns his life around and, makes some better conscious decisions with his personal life on and off the field, with things that he does, I mean, I think that he could be a celebrated player later on down the road. I think that players and people in general, all of us are, allowed a second chance, sometimes even a third chance. But, as long as you are giving a conscious effort to making a, better path for yourself and the people around you and for your community and the world itself, I think that, you're going to have those asterisks next to your name, but I think that you can still end up being a celebrated person in the world in general at the end of the day.
Yeah, that celebrated word's getting me. I think you're going along the lines of separating the art from the artist almost, right?
Yeah.
Where you're saying you're not going to be celebrating him as a man more than you're going to be celebrating like him on the field, or do you think you're even talking just redemption story off the field as well?
I think a little bit of both for sure. I think that, if you could have been a talented player, but if you can continue that on the field, I mean, sure, the fans are going to like it. But if you can make the change off the field as the person themselves, I think, again, you could be, looked at as he turned his life around and, have that redemption story for himself.
Where is the line between the art and the artist, though, for scenarios like what like morally, where's that at for fans? Where like if the NFL teams are allowing a guy to play, he's gonna get a suspension for what happened. That for sure depends on how long we'll get. But what is that line morally? Where like is there if the NFL is allowing him to play, is there a line where a fan can't themselves cheer on that guy for what he's doing on the field, or like I mean I'm being serious. Is it involuntary manslaughter? Is it murder? If a guy gets back into the game after a murder, are we still cool with that guy being on the field? And if the NFL says so,
I think that could be the line, murder. I mean, Michael Vick, he didn't kill a person, but he killed animals. And animals,
a lot of people care about animals. Yeah.
A lot of people care about animals, and he went to jail for his crimes, and people still don't like him today. But he went to jail. He served his time, for the crimes that he committed. And he came back. He became a comeback player of the year. He wasn't, of course, the Michael Vick of old, but he still had a little bit of Michael Vick left in him, and he was, celebrated on the field, I should say, by fans. And now he is celebrated off the field with a lot of the stuff that he has, done and changed. I'm not saying you kill a person, you're going to be okay. You're going to be back on the field. I think, that may draw a line. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger, I hate to say it about the guy, but he had 2 rape, assaults that he committed off the field.
Alleged to commit, just in case.
Alleged. I'm sorry. Alleged. I apologize. Alleged.
Accused. Just in case someone.
I should. Alleged. Yeah, sure. But look at the career that he had, and now fans love him, and things like that. Are there people that still are like, oh, he did this? Of course, But I think that he is now liked more, for what he's done after his during his redemption story than what it was in the past. I think there is a line that could be drawn, at that point. I mean, if Cam Sutton or some of these other players that do certain things, that are accused and alleged of doing certain things, I mean, sure, I think there should be the suspensions, the fines, the fans, and people can, not, celebrate these type of people on and off the field. I think that if they redeem themselves, they have that second chance opportunity to do that. But, I think there is a line. I think that, at that point, there is a line for the NFL itself.
Yeah, I think another variable is time. You brought up Ben and how he's being he has more love behind him. I think Vic too's got a little bit of love going on for him, where like as time passes, you just get away from the incident and you can start looking at the guy as a player more than the incidents behind the scenes. But if we go back to you have Ray Lewis, who's been
that's another one.
He's been tied to stuff. Marvin Harrison's a guy that some people say that they don't even want to say his name. And then I don't want to get this wrong, so let me double check. Dante Stallworth, right?
I think he
had
was
a
another
DUI.
one.
He had a DUI that led one. I believe. I just want to make sure before you go
There's
past
a
that.
guy in Oakland.
DUI manslaughter charges he had.
Yeah, there's a guy in Oakland.
him.
Same thing. I think he was a young rookie player.
Yeah, Henry Ruggs.
Henry Ruggs. Yeah, another one.
And he's not. He might. I don't know. I think he's out of jail by now.
Yeah.
But his whole career was undone by that. And then you have Ray Rice, who
assaulted
the videotape.
Yep.
But talking on the timing, I did ask at the beginning, do you have any problem with it's only been 3 months and since the incident and the Steelers decided to sign him? It's not a situation where like they're saying, oh, we'll wait for everything to play out with one of their own guys before cutting their guy. There's some loyalty there. This guy was a free agent.
Yeah.
He still has the pending charges. He's going to go, most likely he's going to go to a diversion program, which is like, instead of going to jail, he'll like take mental health classes and some other classes. And then he'll get some probation off of at the end of that. And it's down to a misdemeanor now. I think his, the girlfriend's decided not to speak up really about it. And that's where it's standing with him legally. But yeah, what do you think? I just spewed a lot, but just the idea that this is 3 months after the Lions cut him in June, they decided it's time to bring Cam Sutton in.
I don't think that after 3 months should be. I mean, again, people aren't going to be happy with the decision.
Yeah,
but
so you're saying it's not relevant. The timing isn't relevant, right?
No, I don't think it's because, and I don't want to get political here, but you could make the argument to a same situation back that happened in 2016. Donald Trump had pending charges for courts and things like that he was alleged for different things that he apparently committed.
Those were lawsuits, though, right? Those were civil lawsuits.
People still voted for him to be president, and he became president. I'm not saying that it's the same situation, but he still had the same thing, and people were like, "Well, okay, he has it, but I'm still going to vote for the guy." I think we're the Cam Sutton thing. Sure, he had this stuff going on, but he's still a very talented player. I think he can contribute a lot to the team. He's going to have that asterisk, and fans and people aren't going to like him for it. But if he can help, bring the Steelers a winning, championship or just a winning season in general, I think that in the end of the season, at the end of the day, I think, fans will be a little more happier with that. Sure, they're not going to like his character, but, they'll like his talent. Again, that goes back to the art in the artist and the person himself. I mean, I think at the end of the day, if he can help contribute to something to what the fans are happy about and cherish more, I think that, he can help. I don't think that's a huge problem with the signing at that point.
It's a moral dilemma, but I think as fans, you're completely right. That's how we take things. If a guy can help you, you get away with a lot more. I mean, like I brought Ray Rice. If he was still the back he was, he would have been back in the league. The fact is that he was declining as a player. Yeah. And boom, that's the end of your career. Sutton was great for the Lions next year. He's going to be our number 2 cornerback this year. So yeah, it's something that's always going to be out there for fans to have to decide, I think, whether or not it's okay to root for a guy like this. And I'm about to play the video. I don't think he shows any remorse at all in this, and he doesn't get into much detail, obviously. But let me pull him up again.
Everybody gets kind of in their questions. I know everybody got so much to try to talk about. Obviously, with everything going on, he's not doing a lot of, let's say, outside talking about, just being here and the opportunity of being here. So just kind of open up with that and let you guys go from there.
Glad to be back.
Yes, sir. It's amazing to be back.
When did this first discussion start, Cam, about the possibility of coming back?
Just kind of early in the offseason, taking one day at a time, seeing what's next for myself. Again, just letting the days playing out, and obviously just having a great relationship with the organization and the coaches, just checking in on my well-being, just making sure I'm okay, and then from a business standpoint, just seeing what the next opportunity will be, and kind of we're here now, and just ready to put my best foot forward.
It's one thing to get back, and it's another, I would imagine, to get back with the team that took you and spent 6 years.
Yeah, like I said, that's amazing, man. Came into a great foundation in this organization. It's still the same way to this day. You know, the people, obviously the players, the continuity, you know, just being back around this atmosphere, obviously, like I said, is very heartfelt and, you know, just lighthearted, really, lighthearted situation. So I'm just here, man. I'm just here to be myself, you know, get infused around the guys, and then just help the team win, you know, any way you can.
Did you see yourself here? I don't think he meant lighthearted there, but just stopping there. That did bring up another point, another variable. Do you think the fact that he was a Steeler previously does change the math behind signing a guy like that, where they have had him in the building, they know pretty much what his character is, even after an incident like this? Other teams may not be able to assign him because they can't move back and say, well, we know we've had him before in our facility. We knew what kind of guy it was. And this incident was a one-off or so. Do you think there's something to that?
Yeah, I do. I think that, you know a guy for so long and you know how he really is, you know, before an incident like this. And, you know, you think that, you know, he can help, you know, bring some type of winning caliber, you know, essence to the team in general. I think that, you know, it probably helped with the signing for sure.
Yeah, I think you're right. Let's finish him up here.
Explain in conversations that you had with the Steelers leading up to this with Mike and Omar, how do you kind of explain the situation that led to you being released by the Lions?
Yeah, well, like I said, I can't really speak on kind of that too much with the league or that stance, but with the team-wise, again, just the connection-wise, to staying in contact, you know, it was more of just general check-in, you know, general wellness check-in, just make sure I'm fine, you know, checking in my family, things like that. And then obviously opportunities lead to the next. You know, the team was going through, you know, draft and a lot of earlier seasonal things. And, you know, I'm just staying on my end, just staying ready, you know, staying in shape, running, training, doing those things on a day-to-day basis. And just ready for a call, you know. So obviously that call is, you know, presenting itself, and I'm here now. And just ready to keep moving.
Can you talk about what you've learned from all this? Can you talk about what you've learned out of all this?
I mean, it's the biggest thing. I mean, adversity strikes everyone in life, you know, so it's all about how you handle it, how you necessarily go through those phases, and just knowing who you are individually, not letting someone else dim your light. And I always talk about just being a free spirit, just of that natural spirit, not just for yourself, but so many around you. So just never not losing a sense of obviously who I am in that phase. You know, I've never been phased in that end. And again, just the continuity of just enjoying, you know, it's so much to be grateful for, so much opportunity and, you know, like I said, blessings to be, you know, just be grateful to be a part of. And, you know, just continue to ride that wave on that end and just keep living my life out.
I mean, I don't know how much I like that answer at all.
Yeah, I was literally gonna say that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no remorse there. It seems like he's not taking any blame. I don't think he doesn't want anyone to dim his light. He's saying the light. Maybe he meant the lighthearted part. He's like, this is a serious thing, and he seems to like wanting to spin it another way.
It seemed like he was just so cocky. Like, look what I did. I did something. And I was able to get away with it. And he's like, I'm not going to let someone. And it seemed like he was talking about the girl or, you know, the girlfriend or whatever. To let him be a free spirit and do what he wants to.
Yeah, that was weird.
I I don't like. I mean, you know, sometimes you gotta pick. You gotta think about what you're gonna say. Do we know if he's even come out with an apology for the incident? Do we know?
I do not know, but based off of this interview here,
yeah. I can't get behind an answer like that. You know, I think he really needs to reevaluate and watch this clip again, because what he's done with this interview, because it's leaving a sour taste in my mouth after trying to give this man a little bit of flowers for earlier our discussion, you know, but to come out with like this cockiness, arrogant, you know, persona that he's having with this interview, I'm just not getting behind it at all.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a couple more questions we can finish off with.
Are there any hurdles through the league or with the Steelers to ask you to do anything before they wanted to sign you?
Yeah, no. Like I said, I just had my things going on my end with the legal stuff and just with the league. Again, just my stuff was more communication with the team. just checking in on the status of kind of how everything was moving and just my overall preparedness and readiness coming into this. I get the call in a matter of days, and you make things happen. So again, I'm just thankful for the organization to give me this opportunity in itself, and just be able to come out back out on the green, come out here with these guys, and just go to try to do special things.
Can you tell us where they stand legally right now?
No, I can't tell you all that.
Expecting any type of discipline from the league? Have you talked? Has that been discussed?
Yeah, like I said, we've been in our communication, but like I said, it's not of much that I can obviously talk about on the legal end or with the league on that stance. Whatever it comes down to, we're ready to move on in that direction. But at the end of the day, like I said, you just keep moving on with your business, keep moving in the right direction forward, and just be ready when it's time.
NFL player.
There it goes.
Boy, oh boy.
Yeah, so it'll be an interesting thing to follow. Maybe after he gets someone in his ear after this talk, maybe this is the first time he's really talked, I think, since the incident. So maybe someone in the Steelers organization will get to him and say that wasn't a great look. You might want to change your tone a little bit when we're talking about something like this. But
that's a topic. It's not something to just be, to be like arrogant about, it's just to bypass it. Like it didn't happen that, I'm on to I got signed. I'm happy now. Now I'm in a better place.
Back to business. Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that. After now I feel a little like, it's like, I went and just said all this stuff. And then you hear that and it's like, it doesn't make you feel good,
He's definitely not doing himself any favors.
No,
that's for sure.
I go back to the thing that I said. He will have to prove himself on the field and off the field for me now that he is a person for redemption at this point.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's where we're going to be. And he has every opportunity now that he's got a job and he's got money behind it to make amends and do what he can. He maybe shine some light on what caused the incident, if it was something where it was mental health thing, or if it was just whatever it was. He can talk about what caused it, and he can give some positive feedback for that. And I guess so we don't end on that, we can try to go positive for a second here, and let me check and see what the score of the game 2 is right now, and then we can look like fools again by projecting the final score like we did with Denver and Minnesota. It is currently 36-35. The Celtics are winning. It's 7 minutes left in the second quarter while we're talking. What do you think is going to happen at the end of this game here, and maybe the next few games this week?
Yeah, I think that this is going to be another victory for the Celtics. I think we both predicted Celtics in 6. I think that what it's going to be, though, is just going to be, I think the Celtics are going to win the first 2. I think the Mavs may come back and tie the series, but then I think the Celtics are going to pull away and win the final 2 on the road, probably in Dallas in 6. So I think that that's what the outcome of how this rest of the series is going to go. You'd like to see the Mavs come out and win, but I just don't think they're there yet.
I think the Mavs are going to keep this one close. I think they're going to win 2, like you said. I think this could be the one, and then they'll win one of the ones at the home also, and then go back to when they go back to Boston. Boston will take that game, and then the game 6 back in Dallas is how I see it. That's how I'm. So I think I'm gonna give the Mavericks the win tonight. I'm gonna say here we go, get their one of their 2 wins here tonight.
Okay. Also, real quick before we end, I want to give a shout out to Mike Sullivan. He's going to be the coach in I think the 2026 Olympic games for the USA hockey team. Also, just real quick, I know it's not a topic we've talked about in the past, but do you happen to have where the series is at for the Stanley Cup at all?
Yeah, I can give that to you. Edmonton lost to Florida last night. That was game 1. So the Florida's up 1-0 in that series. I think the final score was 3-0. They may have got a goal late. It was 2-0 for a lot of that game. But as it ended, Florida must have scored again. So 3-0. Florida defeated Edmonton. Their game 2 is tomorrow. Well, when this recording, Monday night. We'll go with that Monday night, and then Thursday night will be game 3, which will be in Edmonton.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So just to clarify one more thing, he's in the named the head coach for Team USA in the 2024 Four Nations face-off in the 2026 Olympic hockey team.
Okay.
So that's positive news for him there.
Yep.
Hopefully he has some fun. I am going to be of the belief that he will not be the coach of the Penguins in 2026.
I don't think
This is
so.
my-
Yeah, I don't think so either.
But I got nothing else for you, Lee. Have a good night.
You too. Have a good one.
See you.
See ya.